Alright guys, what's up? Time for another video. Once again, I'm going to be answering viewer questions in this video. I do want to give a disclaimer at the start of this video. So I have a lot of experience mainly learning skills and competitive skills, but some people have been asking me more like questions about making friends and personal advice of that nature. And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a total expert at that. Now, I will tell you how I would improve at that if I really wanted to, or if I was putting a lot of energy into that. And I'll give you my opinion on what I think you should do. But I just want to leave that disclaimer so that you don't get the wrong idea that I'm some kind of like relationship guru, because that's really not the direction I want to take with this channel. And in the future, I probably, once I start to get more and more audience on this channel, like I already told these people I would answer their questions. So I'm going to do my best to provide that value to them. But in the future, I'm probably not going to be answering really any questions regarding relationships or things of that nature. But yeah, I'm going to try my best in this video. So let's see how it goes. Anyways, guys, first question is from Dazzled Guy 189. He says, I want to try and socialize more. I already have a community of friends in school, but I want to make the community more dense and I don't want to drift away from old friends. Okay. So as usual, the main key to learning anything is going to be inputting in your skill and then trying to apply that knowledge you're learning. So what do I mean by input in this situation? Well, it's basically you want to try and socialize more. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to put ourselves in situations where we can socialize more? Also, before we start this, I should say, I think it's important to ask yourself, why do you want to learn this skill? Okay, is this skill going to be something useful to you in the future? Are you searching for like some kind of connection with other people? Like look deep inside yourself and think about why I'm personally motivated to do this. And is there really a good reason for me to go about doing this? Is this going to bring value to my life, right? So, because one thing I'll argue, like, especially if you're a young man, and true for young women too, I guess, I don't know. I'm going to speak from a guy's perspective because that's all I know. Instead of trying to focus so much on socializing and meeting new people, I do think on some level, really focusing on where you want to go in life is going to be more efficient than trying to go out and meet a lot of people, because on the way, on the road, as you progress into what it is that you want to do, you will meet like-minded people along the way that will kind of naturally become your social group. So yeah, that's my personal advice on this. But anyways, going back to how I would go about learning like this specific skill if you want to, well, obviously you need more information about the skill. So if you're asking a question about it, it's probably because it's not going perfectly well or it's not going the way you want. So obviously you need new information to help change your behavior in that situation. So what I would do is obviously input regarding making new friends. So go and find videos that are related to this. Now don't go and just watch one video and think you're done, okay? You need to get videos from a variety of sources with people who have actually accomplished what it is you want to accomplish, okay? And you need to be consistently consuming that information and then applying it in the situations that come up, okay? So inputting, learning more about just how to make friends, how to make a community of people, how to make a group of people, how to organize events for people, learning about how people, interpersonally connect with each other, the kind of value exchanges that go on between people and between groups of people. So you already have a community of friends, but you want to make the community more dense. Well, it's kind of like, what kind of community are you creating? Are you creating a community where you go and play sports together? Or you can creating a community where you meet on Thursday nights and play board games? What kind of community, what direction do you want this to head into? And I think that may be important to finding like-minded people who are going to fit well into this community, is kind of, making it apparent and obvious kind of what you're about. Yeah, and again, I would also question, like, why do you need like a big community? Like, what is it behind doing that that's your true motivation? And digging a little deeper into kind of what your motivations are and trying to understand where you're coming from, and whether it comes from like a lack of friends or whether it comes from like a desire to be popular, and then whatever it is, and then dig deeper into that and kind of figure out where that came from in your life and what brought you into this mindset. And then from that decision, figure out, is this something healthy that I want to do or not, or something that makes sense for me. And if you don't know that question, we'll sit on it for a little while and then go back to getting input about that specific question. Okay, a lot of times you'll find that some behavior you're doing is, a long chain of events that led you to doing that, right? So you kind of have to dig down into that chain of events to find what's going on. Anyways, yeah, so I think if you want to, in my opinion, increase the size of your community, well, what direction is your community heading? And, make that clear and then find people who want to join your community. Now, again, I'm no expert on this. So this, logically speaking, is what makes sense to me. And it's important that you don't fall into the trap of just following whatever logically makes sense to you at first glance. Okay, so I don't want to give you false information regarding this subject. So yeah, that would be my advice for the first part. And then the second part, I don't want to drift away from old friends. And while I can understand that sentiment, like, it's not necessarily a bad thing to drift away from old friends. Like, if your life heads in two different directions, that's okay. When you see them again, there's no bad blood between you. You can still be friends. If you feel like you're getting a lot of value from that person and they're getting a lot of value from you, you're just naturally going to be meeting up more. So that comes to this point. Don't be afraid of change, okay? If your friends change over time, it's not a big deal. My friends change from middle school to high school to college and then beyond. Of course, I still have in my personal experience, I have like a tight group of friends from high school and we still all talk and stuff, but of course we don't talk to the same extent that we used to, and we're kind of all on our own individual paths. And the more you go down your path, the more you're going to meet people that are like you. And yeah, I'm hoping through making this YouTube video, I'd love to have some interesting conversations with people about learning. So I do kind of have like a list that I'm developing of people who I'd like to talk to in the future, other YouTubers and things like that I've seen that I think I could have an interesting and productive conversation with. And yeah, that's just because I'm on this path. So other people that are on this path obviously are good candidates for, adding to your community. So anyways, yeah, that's my advice for you, Dazzled Guy. I hope it helps. Again, take it with a grain of salt because I am not a relationship expert. Again, I want to talk more about learning, not relationships. So this will probably be the last video I make regarding relationships, but yeah. Okay, on to the next person. This is Sequoia James. How to find a friend who you can rely on and share your life with besides a spouse. This is a very difficult question that I don't know the answer to. I think if I just think about like first glance logically, a lot of my friends are people who I just happen to be in the same space with, and I didn't really have a choice but to see them every single day. Like, if it was a choice and we always constantly had to be in a position where we have to meet, then I feel like we have to set up a plan to meet, then I feel like we probably wouldn't have become great friends. But because, initially you're not entirely sure what someone is like, and the more and more time you spend with someone, the more you start to understand, oh, this is someone I really want to be around, this is somebody who wants to be around me, and we get like this good value exchange between each other going. I think that's where like really good friendships develop. So anyways, if you want to make more friends, I would again go input on that. Go watch a bunch of YouTube videos on how other people have done it, how they found groups of people. And again, based in my experience, places where you're doing something you're interested in that other people come to are gonna like, especially something that meets like once a week or something that meets every day. Those are where you're gonna find people, you have shared interests with and that you can get a good value exchange and have interesting conversations with. And then over time, you'll find if that person is someone reliable that you want to spend more time with or what. So yeah, again, you have to be inputting in this information. So you have to be going and getting information from a variety of sources, listening to it, even listening to it multiple times. You have to be kind of committed to the process that it's not going to be perfect at first. You're going to have to keep getting input and then putting yourself in situations where you can apply that information, putting yourself in situations where friendships could occur. And, you can learn from that experience while also learning from the input you're getting online, the information that you're bringing in, okay, books you're reading, things like that. So yeah, again, guys, this is not going to turn into a relationship channel. I do, of course, appreciate your questions, but it's not really my expertise, interpersonal relationships. Obviously, I have a lot of experience in these things as well. Like, I've thought the same exact questions that you guys have thought too. So I've spent a lot of time inputting in that material and, applying that effectively in my own life. But I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an expert in that. So I've done the best I can to answer your question with the information I have available. Yeah, and I really recommend you go and find more information beyond just this video. Go find a variety of sources about your specific question, and I think that's really going to help you. And again, you can't just be reading about it and learning about it and not actually applying it in real scenarios. It's the combination of both that allows you to grow very quickly. Okay, so yeah, guys, if anyone else has a question about skills or anything competitive, then I will definitely answer your questions in the comments. But if not, if you have relationship questions, I do recommend going to somebody who has more experience in that specific domain. Anyways, guys, hopefully I helped you on some level. And yeah, thanks again for watching the videos, and thank you for the questions. Have a great day.